He is one of the 122 names on the list for enshrinement in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he deserves it. He is part of Thursday Night Football's pregame and halftime and postgame coverage tonight from Houston, where the Carolina Panthers try to go to 3-0. He's our friend, Steve Smith, back here on the show. How are you doing, Steve?
What's up, Rich? How you doing?
I'm doing better for talking to you. I'm doing better for talking to you.
Sweet talking me already.
You know what, Steve? That's just the way I roll. But that's the way I feel about you, too. I'll say that to you off the air as well, as you know.
Yes, you would.
How's your family? Everybody good?
Man, everybody's doing great.
Okay.
Everybody's doing great.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Yep, of course. It is my pleasure. Let's get into tonight's game. What do you think is going on in the Texans locker room where it's obvious that there's not a chance on this green earth that any scenario could unfold where Deshaun Watson will either be asked to play and put him on the spot or Deshaun Watson will essentially say, I'll play. I just got to I'm seeing my teammates do X, Y, and Z. What do you think's going on there?
That's very interesting. I don't really know. You know, this is really uncharted territories for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to have everything that's going on with Deshaun Watson, with the Houston Texans. This is, like I said, uncharted territories. Nobody really knows what's going on. We're not really hearing a lot of stuff. So I think, you know, your guess is probably good as mine just because what do you do? Do you let them play? Do you not let them play? You know, it's just messy, to be honest.
Right, and I'm just wondering again if players are just going to be, you know, if they've already put it in a box and haven't, they just know it's not possible and just going to forget about it. And so far, I mean, the first 2 weeks they've looked much better than anybody could have expected or thought. And they're going to start their rookie guy tonight, Steve. You know,
they have looked much better. You know, when you get the Jags, that always helps you, right?
Right.
That's that unfortunately right now between the Jags and what the Lions, that's your get right games right there. So I'm not, you know, I think Tyrod's done a good job, and then all of a sudden he pulls his hamstring. You know, they're gonna run the ball. That's just their bread and butter. They got, you know, three-headed monsters. So. And they better do that against Carolina tonight because that defense is pretty dominant.
So let's get into that. Steve Smith Sr. here on the Rich Eisen Show. How for real are the Carolina Panthers, Steve?
I think they are for real. For what we've seen thus far, it's, you know, heading into week 3. You know, they played the Jets in the first time, and I was down there in Carolina, and I'm like, hey, before you start buying your Super Bowl tickets. Right, let's remind ourselves it's the Jets. But the way they come in week 2 against the New Orleans Saints and how dominant they have been, right? The last 2 years having 18 draft picks over the last 2 years and using 11 defensive players to acquire through the draft. And what is dominant? Their defense. So, but what's even surprising is Sam Darnold. How well he's played thus far, how calm he's looked based off the last time we saw him playing football in a non-Carolina Panther uniform was with the Jets, and he didn't look halfway or even close to what you're seeing today. So Matt Rule is doing an exceptional job being a head coach there and heading into his 3rd year. And then Scott Fitter, the general manager, you can just see how his finger, his pulse is on that draft because they had so many more draft picks in the second draft under Scott Fitter. So it's just been a unique transition for Scott Fitter and Matt Rule, and everything that has been surprising by the Carolina Panthers and how they're playing. I think it just kind of goes to the changing of the guard and an organization that seems to be moving upward year by year and by the looks of it, game by game.
So then how real is real? Because you got the defending Super Bowl champs in the top of that division. Real enough to even give them a fight? What do you think?
I think real enough to give them a fight. You see the Dallas Cowboys defensively getting after Tom Brady. That gives you a chance. And then if your offense can somehow, you know, go first down versus first down with the Tom Brady, you have a chance at least, right? You make it competitive. And so if this defense can stay dominant and Sam Darnold can keep quiet feet, he has the weapons already. They have a running game with Christian being back. He's on pace to possibly have over 500 touches. That would be a NFL record since DeMarco Murray did it with, I think, 492 in 2014. Man, it'll be very interesting.
Steve Smith Sr. here on the Rich Eisen Show from Houston, Texas, where Thursday Night Football, exclusively on NFL Network, will kick off week number 3, Carolina versus Houston. What did you make of the Ravens win and how real they can be? Lamar doing Lamar things, but it's still just when it comes to deep ball passing game, it just sometimes appears to be a struggle. What do you think, Steve Smith?
Well, you know me and being a former wide receiver, I'm actually going to shock you.
Go for it.
I was watching that game, and I was thinking the same thing, like, man, the deep ball and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you just got to watch the game and really just go, man, that was great darn football, right? It was exciting. When you compare Lamar Jackson, how he scored 36 points in the Baltimore Ravens and how Kansas City got their points, we can break it down and look at it all we want, but at the end of the day, it's about the win, right? And Lamar Jackson took over that game. And if that's the kind of football that he's going to play week in and week out, you can't really question how he's doing it. You just got to, it's like wearing a hat going on a boat ride. You just got to hold on to your hat because it's going to be windy and it's going to be a bumpy ride. But in the end, if you got a young man like that, when he decides to take over a game, your defense can't do anything about it. You can blitz him. You can do all that you want. His will was bigger than their will, and Lamar Jackson is showing that he's a guy that can take over a game, and yet not with his arm, but just also with his legs.
Steve Smith Sr. here on the Rich Eisen Show. How vulnerable are the Chiefs then? What do you think?
I mean, if they got to play Lamar Jackson every week,
Well, I mean, they still had the game pretty much in their hands. If Edwards-Helaire didn't put the ball on the ground, get it knocked out by Owe. You don't
get to pick. You don't get to pick how you win. You just got to take advantage of the opportunities, and that's what they did. I'm telling you, I agree with everything you're saying, but I was literally sitting on the couch watching, and I'm going, wow, right? And instead of just nitpicking it, I just literally sat there and enjoyed. It was an old football game that really, for me, I was sitting there going, this is why our game is so addictive. Like this legal drug on the sports market, man, if this is how we're going to be, man, give me this kind of game every week, any team for the next 15 weeks. Steve
Smith Sr. here on the Rich Eisen Show. How did it hit you to see your name on a list eligible for enshrinement in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Steve?
It was pretty cool, man. It really is. Like I usually kind of stay away from that stuff, and
I know.
And really for me, if I'm being honest, like it's been a goal of mine since I hired a sports psychologist to kind of help me with figuring out my goals, almost like a career coach, but it was in sports. He actually is a golf psychologist. And since February 2002, that was my lifetime goal, to be a Hall of Famer. And my name is on there, so that means I'm one step closer. It may not happen this year, next year, whenever it is, but I'm one step closer than the guys whose name aren't on it. So that's all I could be thankful for, and trying to live in that moment and have the right perspective.
Well, tonight you're going to be in the stadium where you played your Super Bowl, Steve Smith. And what if I had walked up to you pregame, hey, Steve Smith Sr., you're going to be in the Hall of Fame on a list one day for enshrinement. What would you have said? That was right after, I guess, you had hired that coach to help you order your thoughts on that front, right? Pretty much.
the radio version is, man, shut the front door. Man, but it's here's the coolest part. You know, and I got 4 kids, and my kids have all known about ball. But what's been cool, you know, with me doing TV and sometimes they'll show highlights, my youngest, Junior, will be like, Daddy, why did they have you in a blue jersey? Like, what is that? And all my kids have been around football except my youngest. He was around it, you know, my last 3 years. He was literally just born. And for him to go through that and go through this process has been really cool, because he'll see old stuff, and the best is when he sees me with hair. He's like, Daddy, who's that? Why is he wearing your number? And he has hair. So it's been really cool to go down memory lane with my family. So whatever happens, you know, I've always watched it, and I think about the players. But in this process, as I'm going through it, my kids have been interactive and allowing them to experience this more than me. I think that's going to be the funnest part, and that's the perspective that I'm having. I played 16 years, and a lot of people shouted out my name. But when you go through this process, I'm saying I want to make sure this is an opportunity, if I go through to the full process, that my family experience the kind of appreciation that they have to have had, because they sacrifice a lot of times for me to go to work, for me to miss games. So this opportunity for them to be celebrated for what they sometimes were put on the sideline to observe.
That's amazing.
Because of my job.
That's amazing, man. And by the way, look, I don't have the receiving yards or the athletic ability as you, Steve, but we do share one thing in common, though, and that is children looking at old footage of me saying, who's that guy with hair? So I'm with you. I'm also one of those guys that can say you should be in the Hall of Fame. You can't, but you deserve it. And I'm also one of the guys who can ask you this question. Here's the one. Tonight, will you have the list of the Pro Football Hall of Fame eligible players? You on it. Go up to David Culley and point out you're eligible as a receiver and not a special teamer. Will you do that tonight, Steve?
No. Here's what I will tell you about. That's a good one. Here's what I'll tell you about Culley. I hate to say it, but I will admit it.
Yes, sir.
He's actually, for what he has inherited,
yes,
which is a cluster,
mm-hmm.
He's actually doing a really good job.
Yes.
I've been watching games trying to find a chink in his armor. And as some people have said on social media, Steve is so petty. And my response is super. But he's doing a hell of a job. And I don't think someone else that was in that position would be able to do a good job. It's as good as the job he's doing. Look at Dan Campbell up at the Lions. He's in over his skis. But Coach Culley has actually been doing a really good job. And so if I get the opportunity,
yes, sir,
I will walk up to him and tell him, you know, great job. You're doing a hell of a job.
Look at
I don't have a problem eating humble pie, man.
Okay. Steve Smith. High Road Steve Smith is a great Steve Smith. A great Steve Smith.
But we don't want him that often.
21, man. I've been sitting in the house a long time. You got a lot of reflection.
But that Steve Smith that was told in the Pro Bowl back in the day, go work out with the special teamers, not the wide receivers, by David Culley, wants you to go up with that list and say, how do you like me now? That's Steve Smith.
Hey, that was Isaac Bruce, and that was pretty. I love that. That was pretty good.
That was great. How about that? Isaac Bruce, literally his whole career, does not say 2 words or pound his chest, come even close. Hall of Fame, he starts dropping mics like, how do you like me now? That was amazing.
That was pretty cool.
That was great. That was great. Another reason why I want to see you in the Hall. I can't wait for that speech. Steve, congrats on being on that list. I look forward to watching you make all those cut downs from here on out. I'll be watching tonight on NFL Network. Let's do this again very soon.
All right, appreciate it.
Right back at you. That's Steve Smith. Steve Smith Sr. on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.